So this Saturday, May 9th, live sport is back, and it's the mixed martial arts leader, the UFC, that continues to blaze a trail, overcome the odds and deliver for their fans. It's very possible that the UFC is going to get a lot of new eyeballs. Perhaps you've found this and you've never seen a UFC event before, so let me lay it all out for you. This weekend, UFC 249, we have 2 title fights. There are 6 fighters on the card that either hold or have worn UFC gold, and 10 of the 13 fights that are on fixtures for this one are massive for their respective divisions. The UFC have gone in big to give back to their fans. Now, this video is dedicated to the main event between Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje. I'm going to give you the thumbnail to the history of this because it is a delayed event. It was originally supposed to be Tony Ferguson versus the lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov. That is a fight that has now fallen through 5 times. You couldn't write the script about this one. Currently, Khabib is in Russia with the obvious travel restrictions associated to the coronavirus. So they had to look down the line, and it is a division that is jammed at the top. But the rightful contender in this situation is Justin Gaethje. Now, a lot of the MMA media and the fans will concur that the lightweight division is special. It is the most heavily populated division. It's had champions like Conor McGregor, Showtime Pettis, who's actually on this card, Frankie Edgar, and BJ Penn, superstars, legends of the game. So this one is so big. Interim lightweight gold until Khabib gets back to the octagon. Now, here are a few reasons that you cannot miss this fight. It is the number 1 versus number 4 contender for that interim gold. They are 2 of the most violent fighters on the UFC roster. Not only can they put a hurt on their opponents, they can take, and often do take, damage, which means fans are left wide-eyed in amazement at what they've just witnessed when their fights are all said and done. Both Tony and Justin are outliers. Athletically, they are capable of things most mere mortals can only dream of. Ferguson is a complex individual with a quirky personality. He's got supreme confidence, and his unconventional training methods really befit his creative, unpredictable, and quite brilliant fight style. Justin Gaethje, on the other side, might blend a little more easily into a crowd than what Ferguson does, but when the gloves are on, he becomes a warlord. Every time he finishes a fight, and I urge you to go back and listen to those moments in the octagon after the refs kind of just waved it off, he always says how much he loves his job. He feels no nerves getting in there, and he just embraces the violence. He's a high-risk, high-reward fighter, and you always tune in to watch him. If nothing else, to see his celebration where he climbs high on the edge of the octagon and then does a backflip and lands it pretty much every single time. Now, here's some specifics for you. Tony Ferguson has previously held the interim lightweight title. In fact, he believes he still does. He currently holds the record for the longest win streak in the lightweight division at 12. 10 of those wins have been finishes, which is a terrifying statistic given the kind of opponents that he's faced. Now, Justin Gaethje was a really exciting addition to the UFC roster. He came over as a champion of the World Series of Fighting, and he got a main event straight off the bat. Now, in each of his 6 UFC fights since that moment, he has earned a performance bonus, which in itself is a first in the UFC's history. He has not gone to a decision in 5.5 years, and just aptly lives up to his fight moniker of the highlight. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm absolutely stoked they've put this fight together. I would watch both of these guys fight a punch bag, but then you consider their skill sets competing against one another's, and it's just fascinating. They're both lifelong athletes. Both were collegiate wrestlers, which is such a strong fundamental to bring into the octagon. But neither really use their wrestling offensively, and this is a particular point for Justin Gaethje. The highlights will much prefer to command the fight space, close you down, and unleash his God-given power, which for the most part takes out his opposition. Ferguson, on the other hand, has a slightly less concussive style, but employs a more torturous way of fighting. He will prod, jab, slap, and slice you for as long as you can withstand it, and few leave the octagon without needing medical attention, in particular a few stitches around the face. But whilst he finds ways to hurt you with his limbs, he hunts for ways to snap down his opponents, wrap them up, and end the fight. And in harmony with his unorthodox character, he's a practitioner of the Eddie Bravo grappling system, which is perfectly suited to his long, flexible frame. Specifically, both of these guys hold records for their striking output against their lightweight peers. The area of concern for Gaethje fans might be that although he dishes out an extraordinary volume of strikes, he also takes a lot of punishment too, nearly 3 times as much as Ferguson. Gaethje's aces are his power, which is unquestionable, and his leg kicks, which could slow down a charging elephant. The note here is that Ferguson, however, has not been stopped from strikes in his long career. Something else to highlight for Ferguson is his ground game. I was talking about the Eddie Bravo style. Now, he attempts and executes movements that are rarely seen before in the octagon. He'll be in defensive mode and then he'll roll through, hook a leg, and threaten to take it home with him. His black belt level skills on the ground have earned him the most D'Arce choke submissions in UFC history, and his neck attacks in general are clinical and have taken down some of the very best that have ever stepped into the octagon at 155 pounds. Now, I think we should put into context the situation. Ferguson has known he was fighting longer than Gaethje has, and that plays into his advantage, I think, given his insane conditioning and consequently his output in his fights. Ferguson's mindset of improvisation and adaptability is exactly what he needs for this endeavour after having eyes on a very tough wrestler in Khabib and now facing Justin Gaethje, who is a massive power puncher with a whole lot more leg kicks as well. On the other side, Gaethje was never going to say no to this. This is his opportunity to get his hands on UFC gold. And as I said earlier, he loves this. He was born for this moment. He has the right team to help him put in the very best performance, both strategically and in terms of getting him in the right physical state to go up against someone like Tony Ferguson. This wasn't the expected fight for the pay-per-view event at UFC 249, but nothing is normal right now. However, fantasy matchmakers have been salivating over this pairing for a while now, and this weekend we're going to get to see it. You guys can check it out on ESPN in the US and on BT Sport in the UK and Ireland. Enjoy it, and thank you for watching.